I'm thrilled to introduce our 2015 commencement speaker. Broadcast journalist Laura Ling has reported from dozens of countries on critical issues such as slave labor in the Amazon, Mexico's drug war, internet censorship in China, and women's rights in Turkey. Her work has earned both an Emmy and a National Edward R. Murrow Award. Today, she is the Director of Development for Discovery Digital Networks, overseeing the creation of online video programming for Discovery's range of websites. Previously, Ms. Ling was the host and reporter on the documentary series E! Investigates, and Vice President of Current TV's Journalism Department, where she created the weekly investigative series Vanguard. In March of 2009, North Korean soldiers detained Ms. Ling along the country's border with China as she reported on the trafficking of North Korean women. She and her colleague were convicted in a secret trial and sentenced to 12 years of hard labor. They spent 140 days in captivity before former President Bill Clinton intervened and helped to secure pardons for them. Since returning to the United States, Ms. Ling has sought to shine a light on both the trafficking of women and the plight of imprisoned journalists around the world. She co-wrote Somewhere Inside, One Sister's Captivity in North Korea and the Other's Fight to Bring Her Home, with her sister Lisa, host of This Is Life with Lisa Ling on CNN. In 1998, Ms. Ling earned a bachelor's degree in communication studies from the University of California at Los Angeles. I've been able to spend a few moments with her this afternoon. A lovely, wonderful person, warm and brilliant. Just had her second child 18 months ago. Let's give a big welcome to our 2015 commencement speaker, Laura Ling.
Good afternoon. Hi, can y'all hear me? Good afternoon. Thank you for that kind introduction. President Woodward, Board of Trustees, esteemed members of the faculty, proud parents and relatives, friends, and most importantly, extraordinary class of 2015. Thank you for inviting me to speak here with you all today and to share in this special occasion. It is a true honor. Today is a day of celebration. Graduates, you have reached an incredible milestone. You should all be extremely proud of what you have accomplished during these years at Carthage. The discoveries you've made, the heritage courses you've survived, the friendships built, the herds of wild geese that you have had to dodge, parking spots gained and lost, nights at summer house survived. Those challenges overcome, tens of thousands of your parents' hard-earned dollars spent, have helped prepare you for what will undoubtedly be an incredible new journey in your lives. Well, I'm not so sure about that, those summer house nights, but at any rate, congratulations. As I look out amongst you all, I can't help but think back to my own college graduation from the University of California, Los Angeles, and the mixed emotions that were swirling around in my head. Excitement, relief, anticipation, utter fear. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I did know, however, that I wanted to see more of the world and develop a deeper understanding of it. See, I grew up in a very all-American, cookie-cutter, non-diverse community in Northern California. There weren't many other kids in my neighborhood that looked like my sister Lisa and me. I would say in our high school of 2,000 students, there were 6 or so Asians, 2 of whom came from the same family, ours, and I just felt uncomfortable and different in my own skin. And then for college, I landed at UCLA, also known as the University of Caucasians Lost Amongst Asians. and this whole world of diversity opened up to me, and it was really exhilarating. I met fellow students from all walks of life, and they all had such fascinating stories. My 3 closest friends during my freshman year in college were a young gay man who hadn't yet come out to his family, a conservative, deeply religious conservative Christian girl, and a young Latino man who was the first in his family to go to college. And I think being exposed to so much diversity was one of the reasons why I became so passionate about reporting and wanting to travel the world. I wanted to continue to immerse myself in these different cultures and situations and to share those experiences with others. During one of my first jobs in TV journalism, I was working as a researcher, and for one assignment, I was invited along on the shoot, and the producer handed me this medium-sized, boxy camcorder and told me to just experiment and get some shots. That's what we called them back in the day, camcorders. It was when consumer handheld video cameras were starting to become more accessible, but weren't nearly as ubiquitous as they are today. And I had no idea how to work the thing, but I studied the manual carefully, and I did my best. And although I'm sure 99% of the footage that I shot was probably unusable, a couple shots did make it into the piece, and I remember how proud I was. Looking back on it, it was such a small thing, but it meant something to me. And more than that video itself, what was especially significant and memorable was that the producer had given me a chance. He believed in me, and he eventually became a mentor of mine. As you go out and begin your careers, learn from those around you. Seek out and embrace the guidance and wisdom that others have to offer. Be a sponge for new approaches and ideas. And as you grow in your careers, pass that knowledge along. Give someone else a chance. You will not regret it, and in fact, that person may end up giving you your next job. Over the past 16 years, I have had the opportunity to work as a journalist, traveling the world, and along the way, I have met and interviewed people that have moved and inspired me and have shaped my worldview. From women in the Middle East speaking out for greater rights, to Burmese pro-democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi, who spent 15 years of her life under house arrest because she stood up to that country's military dictatorship. To U.S. servicemen and women who have fought to preserve our liberties, but some of whom are now suffering from traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorder, many of them forgotten by society. I never truly understood what a luxury our freedom is until I went out into the world and met these people who had risked their lives for greater freedom, and until I lost my own. Their stories have taught me about courage in the face of adversity and about the value of freedom that many of us too often take for granted. In March of 2009, I was in northeastern China meeting another group of people that have faced incredible odds. These are women who have fled their homeland in North Korea and that country's totalitarian regime, where hunger is widespread, where even the most basic rights is being denied. But rather than finding freedom across the border in China, many of them find themselves caught up in a different kind of desperation. North Korean women are sold into violent marriages to Chinese men. Others are lured into the prostitution industry. On the morning of March 17th, my team and I were filming along the frozen Tumen River that separates China and North Korea. That's when my colleague and I were chased down by North Korean soldiers, apprehended, beaten. I was eventually knocked unconscious, and we were dragged across the frozen ice into North Korea. I didn't know if I would see my family again or survive until the next day. I felt like I was living this out-of-body experience. I had lost complete control of my life in a matter of seconds. Life had thrown me a curveball, and man, was it a fast one. The next 5 months would be the most challenging, frightening time of my life. I did not think that I was going to be able to survive a week in captivity. My mind was only focused on those negative outcomes, that I wouldn't see my family again, that I would spend the rest of my life in that country. And for many days in the beginning, I just sat around depressed, just waiting for something to happen. After all, I was isolated in what is perhaps the most isolated country in the world. What was there to do? But then I began to focus on the people that I'd met throughout my career, people who have endured and overcome unimaginable hardships and odds. And I realized that if I was going to get out of that situation, I was going to have to help make it happen. And so that dark period became the biggest test of my strength. I meditated and exercised every chance that I could to keep my energy up and my spirits up. I strategized and strategized. I knew I couldn't just sit around and wait for somebody else to decide my fate. I tried to engage my captors every chance I could to try to find out what was necessary to get us home. In the most trying of situations, even when you may feel helpless, ask yourself, have I exhausted every possibility? Have I tried every option? It is often these unforeseen circumstances, life's many detours, that teach us the greatest lessons about ourselves, that allow us to discover strengths we never knew existed, that force us to lead and take charge of our lives. While my experience in North Korea was filled with terrifying moments, I'd like to take a moment and share with you all some of the glimmers of humanity that I also experienced. One day, one of my guards had gone home to visit with her family, and when she returned, I asked if she had a nice time seeing them. And she looked down a little bit forlorn, and she said, "I did. But I felt badly that I could see my family when you've been separated from yours for so long." Another guard, after learning that I'd just been sentenced to 12 years hard labor, seemed genuinely shocked and saddened for me. I was huddled up in a ball, crying uncontrollably in a corner of the room, and she came up to me and she said something that I'll never forget. "Laura," she said, "always have hope. These are young women who were cold and mean and intimidating to me when I first met them. They looked at me as their enemy. And I looked at them as perfect models of then North Korean leader Kim Jong-il's mass propaganda machine because they were always quick to spew anti-US rhetoric, and they spoke about their leader as if he were this otherworldly, godlike figure. But I mention these moments because I do think that they're a testament to what can happen when people from enemy nations or opposite ends of a spectrum get a chance to interact and communicate. Our perceptions of one another can grow and widen. If we only take that chance to engage with those we consider different, we might find out how much we actually have in common. A lot of people ask me, why was it Bill Clinton? Why was it President Clinton that was needed as the person to serve as the envoy for our release? And the simple answer to that is that North Korean leader Kim Jong-il had just always wanted to meet him. And that's that. And there's actually some truth to that. However, it may have had to do with something that happened many years prior. So while I was on the plane ride home with President Clinton, he told me that when he met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-il, Kim told Clinton that when Kim's father, Kim Il-sung, passed away in 1994, President Clinton was the first leader to call Kim to offer his condolences, even before Kim's own allies. Kim told Clinton that he always remembered that gesture of respect and had wanted to meet him ever since. I just think it's wild that one possible reason for our release from North Korea can be traced back to that simple phone call that happened so long ago. And it's a reminder that the things we do today have ripple effects that will impact our lives and others in ways we could never have imagined. While I was in captivity in North Korea, I had a lot of time to reflect on my life. There were many times when I asked myself, was my life well spent? My career in journalism has at times been grueling and risky, but I did feel fulfilled that I had tried hard to shine light on issues that need the world's attention. I felt glad that I had followed my passion. I hope that you all will pursue yours. Whether it's writing, engineering, beekeeping, calligraphy, or coding, reach far. Chase your dreams with all of your might and work your butt off, because this is your time. It may not be easy. In fact, it probably will be extremely hard. Failure will most certainly rear its head at some point, but don't be afraid of it. Learn and grow from those mistakes, because that is also part of your journey. Not a day goes by when I don't think about something that happened during my experience in North Korea. A wound on my head is a constant reminder of the day I thought I might die. But it's also a reminder of what matters in life. It is because of that challenging time that I have greater perspective today. While in captivity and reflecting on my life, I also had plenty of regrets. One of them was not spending enough time with my family, not telling my parents often enough how much I love and appreciate them. We all live these very busy, stressful lives, but one day we will wish we had more time with the people we love. Please, after this ceremony, hug your parents tighter, kiss your grandmother. Thank those who have worked so hard and have sacrificed so much for you to be here today. During my time in North Korea, I was fortunate to receive letters every now and again, and it meant so much to me to hear from dear college friends, some of whom I'd lost contact with over the years. And I regretted the fact that it took getting held captive in North Korea to reconnect with some of the people that are most important to me. Many of the friends you have made during these college years will be your friends for life. They will be there to support you when you need it most. I urge you to preserve the bonds you have made here. One thing I did to get through every day of my captivity was to practice the act of gratitude, and this became a kind of ritual for me. And so before I went to sleep, I would sit cross-legged and think about the little things that happened in that day that I actually felt grateful for, despite the bleak situation I was in. And so, for example, I'd say, I feel lucky I saw a butterfly outside my window, even though I can't breathe the fresh air. Or I feel fortunate I got 3 meals today, even though the portions were meager, because they were probably more than what the average North Korean was getting. Or I feel lucky that my interrogator didn't threaten or berate me today. He was actually kind. Expressing gratitude for those small things allowed me to get through to the next day. And it's actually something that I continue to do to this day. And so before I go to sleep this evening, I will give thanks for being able to spend this very memorable day with all of you. I find that practicing this ritual of gratitude brings a sense of not only peace, but of purpose. Because I can't help but think about how incredibly lucky I am to be home and to be free. And so I can only look at each new day as this precious little treasure. I want to do things that have meaning. I want to make my children proud. Every one of you here has the ability to make a positive difference in your communities and in our society. As President Clinton demonstrated in that phone call to Kim Jong-il, even the smallest action can have a huge impact. It can change lives. It can save lives. Success can be measured in numerous ways. I believe that service to others is the greatest determinant. And using that as a guide, I hope that all of you are rich with success. When I was graduating from college, eagerly anticipating my future, my generation had never known a major war. It was a time of peace and prosperity. You all have spent much of your lives with our country embroiled in conflicts overseas. Today, the word terrorism is as common as the word tweet. While technology has brought the world closer together, in many ways we are more fractionalized than we've ever been, both within our country and beyond our borders. Ethnic, racial, and religious tensions divide us, In the US, women face a pay gap in nearly every occupation. Inequality between America's rich and poor is at a 30-year high, and this disparity continues to grow around the world. We are living in a world where the need to build bridges, to create a common humanity, to foster a greater appreciation for what makes us different and unique has never been greater, and the means of communication have never been more powerful. When I was a student, some of us were still using the term information superhighway to describe the internet. Email was a relatively new thing. And I'm not even that old. I think I'm actually pretty young. I'm dating myself here. I could never have imagined that access to almost any kind of information would be at our fingertips, that revolutions for peace would one day be spawned by social networks, that a hashtag could inspire masses. This is an unprecedented time of innovation, leadership, creativity, and unparalleled possibility. You may have no clue what you want to do with your future, but this is the time to become a part of something bigger, to seek out what's important and fulfilling, to do something that has meaning and impact, and the tools to make this happen are within your reach. I'd like to share with you all a verse from a poem that I recited nearly every day of my captivity. Some of you here may be familiar with it. It's from Dr. Maya Angelou's Caged Bird. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Members of the graduating class of 2015, as you walk off this stage today and leave these safe, idyllic grounds, you will be inheriting a rapidly changing world, one that is full of promise and opportunity, but one that can also be flawed and unfair. There may be times when you feel like caged birds, trapped, confused, alone. But freedom burns inside of us. I urge you all to use your voices, believe in yourselves, and never give up. Always remember, our unalienable right, our freedom, is a non-existent concept for others. Some risk their lives to experience the liberties we enjoy. Others will never know what freedom is. On this Memorial Day weekend, let us take a moment to remember those brave servicemen and women who gave of their lives so that we could live ours. And as we honor them, I ask you, how can you truly take ownership of your liberty, to seize it and value it, not just as a basic right, but as a responsibility? I know that you all possess the spirit and determination to do incredible things, to make a difference in the lives of others, to change this world, to make it better. This is your world to shape. The torch is being passed to your generation. But another generation will soon follow, so use this time wisely. Make your mark in big ways and in small. Be a good person, be compassionate, be kind. And as my North Korean guard once encouraged me, always have hope. It will lead you through to brighter days. Thank you, good luck, and congratulations.